You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Game on, where progressives fear us and rhinos tremble. Welcome to the political jungle. I'm JD.
This is Stacy. No one is safe. No one is spared.
Lock up the children.
And the old folk.
Welcome to the world of liberservative conservatarians.
Guadalupe. Good Sunday evening, August 18th, 2019. JD and Stacy here live hosting Game On that KLRN Radio. Welcome back to all our political geeks, freaks, and back alley sneaks. Everybody right now, you know exactly what to do. Get over to Spreaker.com. Get over to our page, JD and Stacy. Get in that chat room. Say hello to Stacy. Join the conversation. Join the party. Ron, put your pants back on. We want to thank KLRN Radio and Spotify for making tonight's live show possible tonight. We're talking Israel versus the Squats, hat tip, Too Cynical, Hong Kong, Chi-Coms, A Moment in History, Nonsense of the World, and so much more. So top off that drink, light up that stink, have yourself whatever help makes you think. JD and Stacy taking you to the top of that 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Hour here on Game On live on that KLRN Radio. How's you, baby?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Oh my God, she's here. Oh, good.
Oh, good. We had a couple of minutes there.
We still might, folks. This is, I think, one of the. There are only 2 or 3 more shows left for JD out of the Southern California studios. Them New York studios
God.
are being worked on right now as we speak. I spoke to Friday. I spoke to the gentlemen that are working on the New York East Coast studio, Stacy, and there are some really cool stuff. Maybe the possibility for video coming up. I cannot wait to get out of this sanctuary hellhole. So, welcome to the show. How's you?
I'm very good. Video?
Oh, well, it depends whether we gotta watch. Yes, we're gonna bring us live and in color to the audience, so they can get a look behind the curtain at the seriousness of the show here and how we put everything together. Tim. Nothing's working.
Okay, terrific.
Oh, did you drop out on me? Because I'm getting that Skype noise again.
I got the Skype noise too, and I'm not really sure because I could hear you just fine. I just said on a Sunday, really, you're gonna make me do my hair for video? Come on.
No, but if you last through the entirety of the show, it'll be an absolute shocker. So, as always, kids, we have an absolutely jam-packed show for you this evening. We're going to try and get everything in. There's so much to choose from, but don't worry, guys. JD and Stacy have gotten you all taken care of. Biggie, get us started.
Come on.
All right, so I'm sure all of you who have not been living under a rock have seen that. And listen, everybody, I have got to give this to Twosome Al. And you know the squad, colloquially referred to as the squad. Ilhan Omar, the Durka terrorist that disgraced Rashida Talib. The Ringo Starr of the squad, what the hell's her name? Presley, I don't even know what her name is. And some other disgraceful jerk off that's in there. I don't think Stacy's there. I can hear her dropping out.
I'm here.
Okay, listen, I'm just going by the noises that I hear. It's going to be a very long show, so just bear with me.
I'm sorry.
You know, so, but well, let's not get into it. So we have to thank Twosome Al because he christened the squad the Squats for us. And in this past week, there's been a lot of news. The media is corrupt. So Stacey and I basically wanted to break down for you exactly what this was all about with supposedly Israel denying entry of the Squats into the country on some bogus congressional delegation. But Bibi Netanyahu and the country of Israel have definitely earned their own theme music for this segment. So before we get into what Bibi did, let's get in the mood.
That's Joseph's
music. I'm sorry. I'm such a child. I had to.
No,
that really makes me
I
smile.
know. You're a
Okay,
child,
terrific.
but hopefully we'll get to play it again next week when Joseph joins us.
Oh, I got everything. Listen, let's get through this week before we start talking about next week. So there's been a lot of talk this week about why the Israeli government denied entry to Ilhan Omar and Rashida Talib. There's been a lot of political talk about it. You know, of course, Joe Biden, who can't remember what he had for breakfast, had a big dress over his head, a moment where, he didn't understand how an allied country could block people from when in 2008, the Obama administration, which I know Joe Biden doesn't remember, he served as vice president of, denied entry to a member of the Israeli Knesset, which is basically the equivalent of our Congress, because they thought that the man leaned too far right. So it's really just smoke and mirrors as far as everybody's upsettedness about all of this. But the one main factor that you keep hearing referred to is a movement that's referred to as BDS. And the Israelis and Netanyahu didn't just block these two congresswomen from coming into the country because they felt like it. They are actually bound by Israeli law to prohibit people who support the destruction of the state of Israel, which is what the BDS movement basically backs, from coming into the country. And my apologies, folks. My guess is that Skype noise is going to go on through the rest of the program. There's just nothing we can do about it. The BDS movement itself opposes international cooperation with Israel until the descendants of Palestinian refugees are granted a full right of return and Israel ends its quote-unquote occupation. Right there, folks, that's a non-starter. This quote-unquote right of return, if you let all of the quote-unquote Palestinians, which is a made-up a bunch of people anyway, into the state of Israel, it destroys Israel as a Jewish state. But I want you to listen to, this is pulled from the Daily Wire, October 10th, 2018. In recent days, and this is right before the midterm elections, In recent days, the BDS movement against Israel, which stands for Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, has become increasingly mainstream among a certain element of the Democratic Party. Now, you have to understand something. This BDS movement was shunned by all mainstream and even most fringe Democrats until the candidacies of Rashida Talib from Michigan, AOC from New York, and Durka Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. Now, the BDS movement itself, before we get into the politics of it, you'll hear a lot of people that it was established on a July 9th, 2005 call with Palestinian civil society organizations. That's really, really just not true. The BDS campaign is a product of an NGO forum held under the UN World Conference Against Racism in Durban, South Africa in September of 2001. After September of 2001, their ideals and their wants kind of got sidelined because of what happened in Lower Manhattan with the towers coming down. But about 4 years later, you had the first move of this into the academy, where the first place this BDS movement went after was academia here in the States. And what they try to do is to get their endowments to basically boycott, divest, and disassociate themselves with any and all things Israeli. The BDS movement is about government cooperation stopping with the Israelis. And the reason that this movement started at a racism conference in Durban, South Africa, is because they felt that the word apartheid that you hear used for the Israelis and the Palestinians came out of this conference in 2001. Because what they felt is they felt that if they had been able to have the sanctions against the country of South Africa the way that they had, which basically led to its destruction and its fall, they believed they could do the same thing against Israel. There's been a lot of pushback here in the States, even for the liberal, secular American Jews. So now I want to bring Stacey back in on the politics of this. How did you see all of this?
Well, first of all, I find it very odd that there was a congressional delegation of about 70 members that went to Israel not all that long ago, and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar chose not to be a part of that delegation, which is odd if they really wanted to go there, right? They instead chose to wait and go by themselves and be funded for their trip by a completely anti-Semitic, like to the nth degree, and BDS supporting organization called MIFTA.
But let me stop you right there, because I want the audience to follow along. So let me just put you on a pause button there. In case all this has been so lost in all of this, it's the reason that I wanted to pause here. In case that flew past you, what Stacey just mentioned, folks, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar were not two innocent congresswomen buried in a 20 or 30 deep congressional delegation that was going over to Israel and pulled aside and said that you can't come. To Stacey's point, there was a large congressional delegation of Democrats that just went over to Israel within the last few weeks that these two could have gone on but did not, and wanted to specifically set this trip with just the two of them up. My apologies, Stacey. I just wanted the audience to pick that up because the media is too corrupt to let anybody know.
Right. So their trip was being funded by a group called MIFTA, and MIFTA is founded. You can read in the New York Times and the Washington Post and a couple other places that, they are a pro-Palestinian organization. Actually, they republish, and I think this is.
All right, there we go, folks. We've lost Stacey maybe at some point.
I can hear you.
Okay, well, you were totally gone there, so why don't
you... What is the most important thing to me about this group, MIFTA, is that they actually, and I think the tie that needs to be made, because our media is corrupt, they actually republish articles from white supremacist, aka Nazi, websites talking about Jewish control of the media, Jewish control of this. They've accused Israel of blood libel. They say in Israel that they, use the blood of Christians during Passover. That's since been deleted, but it's been archived. The people who were funding these people are every bit as bad as the white supremacists that the left wants you to be so concerned about. And there's actually a lot of overlap in what they believe that nobody wants to talk about.
But listen, there's a reason that these are the first two sitting Congress people, for the most part, that have gotten behind this disgusting anti-Semitic push of BDS. I was reading that, and for those of you who, there's an organization out there called CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, and they sprung to prominence after 9/11 when they, the lone wolf, they're the king of the lone wolves. All white people are white supremacists who want to murder the Durkas and the Mexicans and everything else. But, when it comes to everybody else's actions within a group, no, I can't paint with a broad brush. No, I can't paint with a broad brush. Well, CARE, and we could do an entire show on this, and maybe at some point we should, but CARE is deeply involved and enmeshed with both the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. Hamas. It's like when you have a hairball. Hamas. Now I'm going to cough. So they are deeply aligned with these Palestinian terrorist organizations, which are funded from, among other places, Iran. And it has been the intention of CARE, of Hamas, and of the Muslim Brotherhood for quite some time. Folks, we're really being the boiled lobster in a lot of regards. Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood, through CARE, have been working not just to get people who are sympathetic to their terrorist causes inside the halls of Congress as members. They have this broken down so granularly that they have had a plan to get them on judiciary, foreign policy, and intelligence committees.
Which they are.
And they have in this particular case. Which, when everybody looks back, this is a big kabuki theater dance that's going on with people saying that, Nancy Pelosi is, she's actually a moderate because she's holding the line amongst the squad. Look, it doesn't matter to me why, quickly slipping into senility, 47 facelift, her left nipple is on the top of her forehead now, Nancy Pelosi, why she would bend to the likes of Hamas and the PLO and CARE and these other organizations to give them what they want in having these basically anti-American, pro-Muslim Islamic terror congressional folks, which is what they are, on important committees. And Nancy Pelosi is the one that allowed that to happen. So, anytime you hear the talk about how she's holding it all together and really, the party's radical and, good old Nancy, she's cut from the old cloth. No. For all their nonsense and the Jesus take the wheel, I mean, you want Jesus take the wheel? There is nobody driving the bus of the Democratic Party. I mean, it's like the movie Speed without Sandra Bullock. It's a bus with a bomb and a bunch of morons that smell like BO and patchouli driving around in a circle until either it blows up or somebody figures out how to drive the bus and stop it. I mean, that's basically the best analogy I can give of the modern Democratic Party.
Well, I mean, the thing that just absolutely infuriates me is after Israel made this decision based on the group who was paying for their trip, plus their own prior comments, which aligns with the law in Israel. You don't allow people to come to your country that are going to advocate for boycott, divest, and
sanctions. Okay, Stacey's dropped again, so I'm gonna pick it back
just
up.
About every
just stop. You've been gone for about 30 seconds. Why don't you start from where you began this segment?
Okay, basically, you have every prominent Democrat being angry at Israel for denying entry to these women who essentially support a movement and are being funded by people who do not believe that the state of Israel should exist. I mean, if there was somebody coming from another country that didn't believe America should exist, we would probably deny them entry too. And we don't face nearly the level of threat that Israel as a country does. And the fact that they skipped out on the legitimate delegation and chose to pull this stunt on their own, and then Rashida Tlaib had the temerity to write a letter to the Israeli government and say, I just want to see my grandma. I won't talk about this while I'm there. And then turn them down after they approved it. This was all a publicity stunt since day one.
Because this wasn't about grandma. This wasn't about picking figs. This was about trying to be part and parcel of destruction of the state of Israel. And I'm glad you brought that point up, because I had been completely forgotten about it. It was like the major point I wanted to make about this. You know, people, there's a reason our public education system is failing, you know, generation after generation. Yeah, the press is corrupt. So the press sit there and they're like, oh, well, you know, Israel's a democracy and the U.S. is a democracy, and oh, they don't want these people coming over there to take criticism. Well, listen, you can have somebody come from any country on the planet to Washington, D.C., and they can get up and exercise a First Amendment right to say that they're going to advocate for the destruction of the United States of America. You know what's going to happen? Nothing. They're going to get on a plane, they're going to fly back, you know, and we're going to be okay. But Israel is surrounded by enemies. All this occupied territory nonsense, people forget. Israel didn't have some Jewish version of the Monroe Doctrine and Manifest Destiny. They were attacked. They were attacked in 1967. I think they were attacked again in 1973. You know, one of the territories in the West they're holding on to is because they had to defend themselves and win 2 wars. So Israel is surrounded with nothing but enemies that are funded from nation states. So this is a different situation. If you go over there in a market in the West Bank or Ramallah or in some disputed territories or settlements, and you start advocating and agitating and working people up, it's not the same thing as doing it in Washington, D.C., and you get on your plane and everything's fine. People start lobbing mortars and missiles, and these stupid gonna-burn-in-hell freak shows are running around stabbing Jews wherever they can find them and blowing up buses. And the disgusting, disgraceful part about this is both of these Durka terrorist disgraces, Omar and Talib, know this. You know, they might be disgraceful, but they're not stupid. You know, Talib's over there, my city. Oh, I just want to go see my grandma. The Jews won't let me go see my grandma. They're damn Jews. Hi, this is the Jews. If you'd like to see grandma, we have no problem with that. You just can't commiserate with terrorists while you're here. Oh, the Jews! You see, they want to impress me. No, we'd like you to come and see your grandmother before the old bat dies, but we don't want you causing, you know, the Jews. I mean, this is what you're dealing with.
I legit think she thought they were going to turn her down, and it didn't work out like she suspected. And then she did something really stupid and didn't take advantage of it, for which I would say probably 80% of Americans are looking at her going, seriously? Like, your grandma's 90. She's going to die.
Oh,
Like, you're legit going to put your activism over your grandma? What is wrong with you?
I saw grandma, and if the Israelis had half a brain, they'd throw her in a labor camp right now. She's one of the going to die 99 years old with the AK-47 under her disgraceful fig-picking dress or whatever they wear over there. She's another angry, disgraceful, probably has checks coming out the wazoo from fundraisers from relatives that she offered up from Talib's family for suicide bombings and the like. I don't care what anybody thinks about what I'm saying. These people are disgraceful. Talib is disgraceful. Her grandmother is disgraceful. And I could care less whether she goes to Palestine right now and never comes back to the U.S. and spends the rest of her days picking figs with City, or whether the old bat drops dead during this show and she never gets to see her again. I don't care. You are a radical disgrace that hates the United States of America. Yes, I know this segment is on Israel, but stop it. Everybody listening to this show knows that the cover of Omar and Talib for these allies of ours that they go after is just because they do not have the temerity or the fortitude to say who they are really disgusted and disgraced by and whose destruction they really would like to bring about, and that is the United States of America. That's right, I said it. I know they sit in Congress. They're Manchurian candidates. Take us to break, Stacey.
Well done, Detroit and Minnesota. That's about all I have to say. Like, the fact that these two women who hate our country and our allies as much as they do, the fact that they were elected to the House of Representatives, to me, is terrifying.
Minnesota's got to go. But JD and Stacey going to be back. We're going to try and do something about some of our technical issues here. I just think we're going to have them through the rest of the show. But whatever, we're going to pay some bills. We might have to up those ad prices so that we can afford to pay that beeping that you're hearing right there. Coming back on the other side of the break, Hong Kong, Chi-Com in a moment in history. JD and Stacey, Game On, coming back in 3:30.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Welcome back. JD and Stacey hosting Game On live here on KLRN Radio. 18 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. Lock those kids up in their room. Get next to the radio. Listen to this show with your baby. We want to thank everybody for listening every Sunday. We are the fastest growing conservative radio show in the country for those Sundays, and we happen to know it's only because of you. There are so many places to go for your entertainment on a Sunday evening. The fact that you keep coming here in larger and larger numbers every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on that KLRN Radio to see JD and Stacy on Game On is just so appreciated. We want to thank the KLRN Radio family, Spotify, iHeartRadio, that Ricky Ticky Tavi, Rick Robinson, and everybody else here at the station. Remember, folks, when you're not listening to JD and Stacy, remember you got to listen to the show first, and then when you're done with that, get over every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the entire week, and check out the shows and the KLRN lineup. I think we're getting pretty close to doing some 24/7 machinations there, baby. Welcome back. How's you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, I think it just comes down to the fact that they're, yes, I know. I see the internet boost that you just sent me. But you had it last week and you dropped out anyway. So it's nobody's fault. It is what it is. We're just going to go on. It's just quite annoying to keep having to deal with these issues. I've talked to Rick, and Rick's like, what do you want? Sunday's the day with the wife. You know, maybe I'll get around to it. Maybe I won't, you know. So maybe someday, the guy that owns the station could give us a little help with these issues instead of making it date night. How about that?
It's Skype, dude. I had no audio on Thursday.
Okay, you dropped
no
out,
audio.
You dropped out last week. I have no issues using it. So, yes, you seem to have Skype issues. I don't have Skype issues. So maybe you have Skype issues to fix. But they're not going to be fixed before the end of the show. So did you want to say anything else about the BDS and the squats before we move on?
Nope.
All right, cool. We have, folks, of course... We go from one exploding end of the world to another.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert.
As a matter of fact, I didn't think there was too much kung fu fighting today. If what I saw was correct, Stacey, I don't know if you saw anything about it. You know, they're somewhere between 18 hours ahead of us or what have you. They were a lot more dialed down and less violent. These protests, correct? The ones today.
Yeah, no, they look to be relatively peaceful today. I think there's some very young radicals that were causing the violence that was going on at the airport. But I mean, the whole point here is these are literally people whose parents, grandparents, etc., lived under British rule with a lot of freedom, and we've built financial markets there. It's the center for capitalism, and now China, a communist regime, wants to mac in on that, and these people don't want that.
Well,
so
go ahead.
They're protesting, basically. There was a law regarding extradition to China, which is a communist regime that puts people in camps and re-education camps and puts people on a social credit system, which the people of Hong Kong have never experienced. They have been governed separately for a really long time, and they don't want to be extradited to China, and who could blame them?
It's a little more complicated than the Chinese just looking to mac in currently. There's a timeline here with Hong Kong. I don't know. What would you refer to somebody? Hong Kongian, the Hong Kongese?
Well, at this point, they're Chinese. They just don't want to be.
They are and they aren't. I mean, the region itself has been inhabited going back to the original Old Stone Age. It actually was a later addition to the Chinese Empire. It was brought in to the Qin Dynasty in the 220-something BC's, farming and fishing village. It went, because of being a port at a very early moment in time, to being a major financial center, which it remains today. The Qing Dynasty ceded Hong Kong to the British in 1842 through basically, it was the Treaty of Nanjing, which ended the first Opium Wars. Hong Kong became a British Crown colony within the empire, and actually, forced the Qing Dynasty at the end of the Second Opium Wars to basically full-throatedly acquiesce the territory to China. Japan had occupied for a little bit during World War II. Then you'll see in 1946, Britain reestablishes civil government. Hundreds of thousands of former residents returned. They're joined over the next few years by refugees. And then what you see through the 60s, 70s, and 80s basically is up until about 1984, from the 50s through the 70s, you would have these, even though it was still pretty much a rural agrarian society, even mainland China, you would have these outbreaks of democratic movements all through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Fast forward to 1984, the Brits signed with China the joint declarations, which gives the Chinese the conditions to which Hong Kong will revert to Chinese rule in 1997. In 1990, in anticipation of this, Beijing formally ratified Hong Kong's post-handover mini-constitution, or what is referred to as Basic Law. So Hong Kong's constitution is a bit complicated. It lays out rights inherent to individuals, but does in certain ways tie them back to the Chinese mainland. So Hong Kong Basic Law is basically the governing principle of the Hong Kong Constitution. And the Basic Law of the Hong Kong Special Administration Region of the PRC is an administrative region, and it's a national law. This is where it gets complicated. Hong Kong's constitution, which lays out freedoms to the residents of Hong Kong, is actually seen as a national law of the People's Republic of China. You had an update to this in the later 90s under I think Christopher Riva, or whoever the gentleman is. And basically, you have the Chi-Coms are supposed to be set up to have allowed in 2017 a parliament, elections in 2020, and I think by 2050, the thought was that the Chi-Coms would be giving control back to the Hong Kongese. But the Chinese have been able to leverage this so if you see that the Constitution of Hong Kong itself is basically a national law of China, they've been able to leverage this because they've given much more freedom to the region of Hong Kong, and it's become a major financial center. So the Chinese have reaped the financial benefits of this without having the people as repressed as their own citizens on the mainland. And I think as we're coming into what we're seeing now, this is a very complicated situation because, Stacey, as we come into the politics of this, I don't know how many people realize that Xi Jinping, who is the current president of China, is the first ruler of China to operate the way that he currently does. Prior to Xi Jinping, and this was within, I think, the last 10 or 15 years, it was an old communist Politburo, very similar to the old Soviet Union, and it was run by an old bunch of party members. And you went up and you went down, and there were rules and bylaws of what could have you removed and what made you in the party and blah, 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 blah. And Xi decided that he was going to roll the dice. And what he got the Chinese Politburo to do was to put in a special circumstance. The PRC is now, basically, Xi now is a singularly powerful figure over everybody in the Politburo. And the other Chi-Coms in the original Politburo were okay in making this deal because as much as Xi gets all the credit for the good things that happen in China, Xi has to take the blame for the bad things that happen in China. Not the party, not the Politburo, not the old Chi-Coms. So I think what you're seeing here is a dichotomy of they are getting crushed in this trade war much more than the press is reporting.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Xi Jinping, now it's not the Chinese taking a collective responsibility. Everybody in this new power dynamic sits back and looks at Xi. So Xi is staring down the prospect for the first time because he's not dealing with a U.S. leader who's willing to sell U.S. interests to China for cheap goods, is now looking at the prospect of the Politburo looking at him. The Chinese, look, the country of China has been on an unmitigated forward run for about the last 70 years. And now Xi may be presiding over its first real contracted recession, and couple that with the very real possibility of just not civil unrest, but maybe losing a province of the Chinese Communist Empire. That, I think, Stacey, is why you're starting to see some of these mixed signals, whether it's troops on the border, whether they're going to let them protest, not let them protest, repress it, or what have you, because we're in a moment in time where it's a different historical context, because this is all on Xi, good, bad, or indifferent. This isn't the Politburo making these decisions. It's just Xi.
Well, I have heard some commentators, in more right-leaning outlets, right?
Hello? Okay, I guess we're going to see when she pops back in again. She said something about, are you back with us?
I am.
Okay.
Hong Kong has been protesting for about 11 weeks. France has been protesting for about 40. Our mainstream media doesn't cover these protests because they don't fit the narrative. However, when you take a look at China, our good friend Joseph had talked to us about this before. You're dealing in Persia, and that's really where lying and saving face is above all else. So when you take a look at the whole picture, right, you have a situation where we have put trade restrictions on them, and some right-leaning commentators have said we have actually shuttled China back to the early 90s, which is a significant backpedal if you think about the standard of living currently and what the standard of living in China was. Much sense anymore.
I have no idea what you're saying. You've dropped out a few times. Could you just start that again?
Sure. Right-leaning commentators are saying we have basically pushed China back to the 1990s in terms of their economic performance and how it's affecting the population. If you remember, in the 1990s, it was a really good idea for American manufacturers to go over there because the people made so little money. That's not the case anymore, and American manufacturers aren't as hot to go over there because the cost of, or the reduced cost of labor isn't significant enough to make that happen. They're going there for geographic reasons, not monetary reasons anymore. So they're dealing in this situation with a downturn in their economy, just like you said, the first recession in China in decades, 70 years. Plus, they have these people literally have people in re-education camps.
All right, Phil, I honestly, I can't tell whether she's back, she's not. We're going to take a break. That's the best we got with China. And we're coming back. Nonsense of the world and so much more. Going to pay some bills on Kayla Radio.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Whether we realize it or not, everyone has been impacted by addiction. We all have family members, we all have friends that have faced this demon. But there's hope. There's hope in recovery. There's hope when we work together to rise above the plight of addiction. I'd like you to join Mac Mullings every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. on Rise Above Radio on KOKC 1520 AM, where they talk about the hope that is available to all of us.
Welcome back. JD and Stacy here, hosting Game On It's an Issue with the Audio Every Single Week radio. Welcome back to all our political geeks, freaks, and back alley sneaks. Y'all know what to do right now. Get over to Spreaker.com. Get over to JD and Stacy page. Get in that chat room. Say hello to Stacy. Tell Ron to put his pants on. Join the party in the conversation. Remember, folks, you can find us live here on KLRN Radio every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can find the replay on Spotify and iHeart. We want to thank Ricky Tiki Tavi, Rick Robinson, the KLRN Radio family, and especially the listeners, you, for making it all possible. We are back to finally end this disaster of a show. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to tie back to anything that we tried to talk about today?
Really just that I find the mainstream media coverage of what's going on in both Hong Kong and France absolutely despicable. These are people that are rebelling against authoritarian or relatively socialist regimes, and the ones in France are being, I guess, engineered or pushed on by the fact that it's an environmental policy. It's a carbon tax that middle class people in France can't afford. And the fact that our mainstream media and the mainstream media narrative just covers these kinds of things up is just despicable to me.
Why would listen? They don't just. I don't understand why anybody's surprised at this point. They just did it this weekend in Portland. You know.
I know.
I do not like combining social media and this show. But for those of you who do follow me on Twitter, go over to Game On JD. Look at my timeline yesterday. My timeline was nothing but just constantly sharing videos of abject violence, beatings, and criminality. Last evening, the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, along with the police chief, who, believe it or not, her last name is Outlaw, they congratulated themselves for a peaceful protest with no incidents. No incidents. None. This is the press conference they gave to the people. Okay? No incidents. You had 13, and you know they don't like arresting Antifa folk. You had 13 Antifa people arrested, 0 Proud Boys. Okay? But they said it was a peaceful protest where there was no violence and nobody got it. It's just mind-boggling. Okay, so what do we have here for Nonsense of the World today?
Well, I'm thinking almost weekly we could include a Florida man story.
Oh, yeah? Do they have good internet in Florida? Maybe we'll broadcast a show out of there.
Yeah, I'm about to hang up.
All
I have fine internet. You saw my speed.
Wow. Okay, well, it's an issue somewhere.
Anyway, so a Florida man was busted for using a tractor after to dump a mound of dirt on a car with his girlfriend inside because apparently they were not getting along. So he invited her to visit him at work to discuss it further. And after it got heated, he basically buried her in her 2010 Cadillac.
I don't believe this.
There's pictures.
I don't care what the pictures are. Walking through this in your head. So the two of them get into a conversation of homeboy at work. It's so heated and whatever. Somehow he's able to walk away from her, climb up into a backloader, and then be able to dump this on the car before she gets away. There is something so missing in this story. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to have the answer.
But apparently he dumped the dirt on the sedan while the window was down, and he was booked into jail and released on a $1,000 bond.
Oh, because nobody goes to jail.
So Florida.
I'm surprised they locked him up at all. All right, what else do we got?
Well, you remember Chris Cuomo got a little bit uppity because somebody called him Fredo?
No, because I juice, bro. I'm out here with my family, with my kid. What do you want to think? What do you think? I think I don't want to look at your jerk off? How? You want to fight? You want to fight? He's such a detestable ass bag. He really is.
Well, Gianni Russo, who actually played a character in The Godfather.
Who does he play in The Godfather?
Vito Corleone's wife-beating son-in-law, Carlo Rizzi.
Oh, Carlo, that's who it is.
Carlo. He wasn't Fredo, but he was Carlo. He said basically that Chris Cuomo's own father, Andrew Cuomo, and for those of you who don't know that, or Mario Cuomo.
The Spacim!
Yeah, Mario Cuomo was actually the governor of New York before Andrew Cuomo was.
He's not Mario Cuomo. Bob Grant christened him the Spacim like 35 years ago. Spacim he shall be. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, you're back. Okay. Go ahead. I'm giving up.
So, basically, this guy who was in The Godfather, who has some familiarity with Mario Cuomo, the Spacim, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, basically said Chris Cuomo's own father would have smacked him for being that stupid in public. So, Fredo is not a racial slur, because if it was, I would not be saying it on the air. And Chris really kind of embarrassed himself.
Fredo is a sauce. What do we got left? We got California and lesbian sports. What do we got?
Well, it's not lesbian sports. It's a bunch of women who did an all-women sporting event, and they're having trouble selling tickets. So, legit, these are women who have won national or international titles, and they want to showcase them. But much like the WNBA, they're having a little problem finding fans.
Because women's sports sucks. I mean, do you think there's anything else to say on this topic? Women's sports.
Women's tennis I enjoy. I will watch a women's tennis match. Women's soccer, women's other gymnastics during the Olympics.
There's no such thing as women's tennis. Men's tennis is women's tennis. Tennis is a women's sport. As a matter of fact, there are no men that play tennis. There are
There are.
There are males who play tennis. There are no men who play tennis.
Dear Lord.
That is for damn sure. All right, lesbian sports suck. What else?
California's biggest cities are now confronting a defecation crisis. So it's not just San Francisco that needs a poo-poo app. Apparently.
Hello?
I said there's a problem with defecation in California's biggest cities. It was just San Francisco that had the app, but now I guess there's an app for where you live in LA.
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
Well, no. What do you need an app for? What do you need an app for unless you're looking for it? Like, do you say, "Oh, I want to go find where all the dump is"? I live in Southern California. I'm in LA County. It is and again, this is the second time I'm doing it. But go back. There's a viral video of some woman. And if you watch the video, I mean, she comes off to me as pretty dyed in the wool lefty or dem. who's owned a business out here, and she's completely crushed. You know, there's a reason.
Oh, that woman from Sacramento. Yeah, I retweeted her yesterday. She actually closed her business, and she's going to be doing her hairdressing business. She owned it for 15 years. And I mean, Sacramento is not San Francisco or LA. It's in the Central Valley. It happens to be the state capital. But it's not nearly as much of an issue as San Francisco and LA have become in terms of homelessness and other things. But they're still having that problem there because the rules are statewide. They're done by, the state government in terms of how you can manage the homeless population.
Very nice. And I am going to do a mercy killing and kill this audio abomination about a minute short. Folks, we want to thank you all for joining us today. As always, we're going to try and get all of these fixed by next week so we can deliver a little better product for you. But this is when I look at my beautiful and brilliant co-host and I say, you got them keys?
I got the keys.
Let's, thankfully, get out of here. Tell these nice people who you are, what you're doing, where they can find you.
You can find me at Scott's Fire on just about any social media platform, though I spend my time Twitter, Facebook, and CloutHub. You can also find my writing at NOQ Report and The Research.
I had plans this week, but it looks like I'm going to be in a t-shirt, pair of jeans, under the hood of the show and trying to figure out where the gremlins are. If we get them fixed, we'll see you next week.
I'm looking for you, you Occupy freaks with your glitter bombs. Bring it on! Bring on the glitter. Everything has changed. Everything has changed in the last few years. Conservatives used to take it, and we're not taking it anymore.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available.